The alarm, the coffee, the drive, the work, the bed. The alarm, the coffee, the drive, the work, the bed. The alarm, the coffee, the drive, the work, the bed. If that sounds familiar to you, if that sounds like your life, then you're probably like me. Every day you crawl in and out of that 5x7 cube of indifference, sitting in that, cost-effective Office Max chair with lumbar support, and you sit there and you wonder, is this all there is? Is this what my life has been reduced to? Why don't you try doing a podcast and start talking about it like me? I mean, that's what I'm doing, so we'll see how far it goes. But, it's got to be better than, settling for food days and casual Fridays at a job you hate. And, plus you can literally make a podcast about anything, just, find a niche and exploit it, the Anchor app is pretty cool because you can, pretty much use the mic on your phone, and the app pretty much does the rest, and plus, you don't want to do any extra work. I mean, you're already busy. I'm sure you don't. I'm sure you got dinner to cook and kids to feed, bills to pay, et cetera, and you need an app that's going to do all the heavy lifting for you. So let me read what they got here. So check this out. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free, which is true, and it's ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast, and that means you can get paid right away to podcast. In fact, that's what I'm doing pretty much right now by reading, quote, in quotes, this ad. So, it's worth a try. I mean, it's basically, like I said, it's a one-stop shop for all of that. So it's like a Walmart/Target for podcasting. You can you can get a pair of slacks, grocery shop, and get an oil change. It does everything for you. All you have to do is just turn on the record button, plug in your headphones into your phone, and just do it. You could just go off and just start talking. It's user friendly. So just so you know, just go to anchor.fm/start. That is anchor.fm/start. Okay, go ahead and check that out. Let me know if you end up doing it. Maybe we can collaborate, see where it goes. Who knows? All right. What's going on, everybody? It is me. I'm back. So, I had another idea. Wanted to share with you guys. I was going through some of my old books that I have laying around. And I was thinking about maybe summarizing some of these books to kind of help people. Just give people ideas really on things that could help them, especially my fellow Cubularians, Cube mates, 8-hour allies, as I like to call them, cubicle rebels out there, unite. So I'm gonna call this segment, and it may change, but it's a working title. Stuff I'm trying to learn but think you should know. Okay, so let's go see how this goes. So the first book that I read a while, maybe I think it was last year, maybe 2018, 17, maybe 17. Was called How to Fail at Almost Anything and Still Win Big by Scott Adams. So the book is about just success and failure in life and things he's learned in his own personal journey. Scott Adams is the guy that wrote the Dilbert comic strips. Anyway, he had a lot of good stuff in there, but I wanted to share a couple of things that stuck out to me that I never really. He just provided perspective on things that I never really considered. So, one of the ideas that he poses in the book is this idea of goals versus systems, right? So, he defines a goal. Now, there's a lot of semantics, but you can argue for the definition to be the opposite or the other one and vice versa. But the way he defines it is a goal is a specific objective you either achieve or don't sometime in the future. So let me just say that again. A goal is a specific objective you either achieve or don't achieve sometime in the near future. Or in other words, a goal is a reach it and be done kind of thing. So most of us, I think, grew up with that. Reach your goals, set some goals, write out your goals, get your plans together. And it's like this destination oriented way of looking at the world. Everything is a destination. I graduated, boom, I'm done. I got promoted, boom, I'm here. I got hired. It's a destination. It's a place. A goal is a place you want to get to. Then he defines a system as it's something you do on a regular basis that increases your odds of happiness in the long run. Now, this part of the chapter in the book, he argues for systems over goals, right? So let me continue to define that. So he says a system doesn't have a deadline, and any given day, you probably can't even tell whether you're moving in the right direction or not. Now, that stuck out to me because I feel like most people are somewhere in between those two ideas. But the idea of doing things and not really knowing whether you're moving in the right direction, I think is a lot of people. We have jobs, we have lives, we're doing things, picking up hobbies and projects, and we're just sort of, it's a miscellaneous trial and error kind of thing. And we're trying to figure out what's going to stick, what's going to work, what's going to move, and I think that there's a lot in that. Because I feel like I bump into a lot of people who are wondering the same thing. Like, is this amounting to anything? Is this headed anywhere? Is this going anywhere? Is this even, am I going to reach where I'm trying to go? So what's interesting about this is that, like, he makes the argument for a system over a goal, because he basically kind of explains that a goal is like you're in a constant state of failure until you reach it. So you're living it with this continuous almost guilt. I haven't done it yet. I haven't done it yet. I haven't reached it yet. I haven't reached it yet. I haven't attained it. I haven't gotten there. And he said, he just basically was saying how, like, you're basically in this place of constant internal failure. It's a weight that you're carrying around all the time, and you're beating yourself over the head because you haven't done it yet, whatever quote unquote it is. And how unhealthy that is. And I think most of us are taught to look at the world that way, where, like I said, we're just trying to get to somewhere. We're trying to get somewhere and be somewhere, assuming that thing is gonna, scratch that itch that you have, or fill that void or whatever. But the systems idea is a more useful way of looking at things, where you're essentially building habits, and you're kind of collecting skills almost along the way. So you're looking around you and saying, what can I pull out of this or extract from this situation that can kind of help me later on. I don't know what that thing is going to be, but what's drawing my attention currently in my situation now. Now, like I said, that's why. Now, I call it this whole section stuff I'm trying to learn, but think you should know. So I'm talking to myself too. So this is definitely me talking to myself and to you. But so I haven't attained it. I haven't even figured this out yet. I haven't achieved this, but it's definitely something I think worth sharing and discussing and kind of, working through. So let me go back to what else he had here. So he says, if you do something every day, it's a system. But if you're waiting to achieve it in the future, it's a goal. Again, he just reiterates that idea. That's another note I had. He says systems people win every time they apply their system, because in a sense they did exactly what they intended to do. So it's interesting because a system it's almost an internal based thing. So like you apply your system to the situation instead of letting the situation kind of define you in a way. Excuse me. So you have like this internal compass almost where like if I'm in this scenario, this is what I'm gonna try to do. I'm gonna try to, you know, pull this from there. I'm gonna try to pull that from here, you know, and I'm gonna get something out of this regardless of who's around. I'm gonna get something out of the situation. It's almost like being resourceful. So again, I thought that was an interesting point. But by doing that, you give yourself good odds. So like you don't know where you're gonna end up. You don't know what career you're gonna take or where your purpose is gonna lie or wherever that place is. But it's almost like a in the meantime type of process. Like in the meantime, what skills can I gather in this time? How can I give myself the best odds? You know, so I guess the best odds of success in a way, by collecting and practicing until such time. So, and as an example, lastly, as an example, he talks about how like losing 20 pounds is a goal, right? Exercising and eating right is a system. Most people approach, the weight loss. I got to lose 20 pounds in a month. I got to lose 20 pounds in 2 days. I got to, and it's that destination. Like I got to hit this number by X amount of time. And it's a real damaging way to think about it because, you can kind of be miserable in a way until that happens, and that's a tough place to be, a tough place to, and it can really lead to a lot of unhealthy habits too. You can start doing things that really aren't good for you just to achieve that goal as quickly as possible, and your body's not responding, and your body's responding. It's responding, but you pay for it later. But like you said, exercise and eating right is a system. So it's a system is honestly, I think it's hard in its own way because that's the day in, day out of applying yourself to your habits and changing the way you think about things. And it's more of it's his own work. But I do think it's a healthier work, if I could put it like that. He gives another example. So making $1 million is a goal, but becoming a serial entrepreneur is a system. So again, like I want to make $1 million. I want to be a millionaire. I want to be, X, Y, and Z is a goal, but becoming a serial entrepreneur is a system. So again, it's back to that trial and error, seeing what sticks, seeing what works, seeing what you can kind of get out of your situation. So that was goals versus systems, and or systems over goals, and how he kind of prefers that way of looking at the world. Now, the other part of this book that was interesting to me was the, I guess you can kind of call this knowing when to quit / kind of identifying the X factor criteria or the predictor of success. So knowing when to quit something, a lot of times we all start projects and start things, and we kind of don't know whether or not, is this the point where I should stick it out and keep pushing? Or is this one of those things where this isn't going to work out regardless of how long I stay with it? And I thought that was a good point to talk about, because I don't think that's obvious. That is not a clear thing. That can be really murky and gray, and you have to really slice that up in the right way. And so he gives us some like ideas on how to like discern that, or to separate separate the two, separate when to quit and when to stick it out. So he says, okay, so we start with this. Is your idea or your product, does it create excitement? That's a good predictor number one. Does it create excitement in you and in other people? And then he says, if so, people will fight for even the bad version of your idea. That was interesting to me. So if people are excited about even the bad version of what you're doing, and they're still interested in it, and you haven't even made the corrections and developed it, it's a good sign that, like, okay, I may need to stick with this. I may need to kind of hold this out. Like, if people are responding to the idea or the phrase or the product or your skill set or whatever, if you just see an immediate response and an excitement to it, and it's not even a polished version, that's a good sign. That's a really good sign that, hey, maybe I should kind of, this may be worth my time. This may be worth sticking out. He goes on to explain that the first cell phone, right, had this whole situation happen. So he said the first cell phone, it dropped calls, it had no features, it was expensive, and it didn't even fit in your pocket. But the demand was still there from day one. Despite all of its flaws, despite all the flaws it had, people were still interested in it. So it's an interesting idea, but like the cell phone, we all use our cell phones, we all have them, and they were in no way what they are now back then, but people were still excited about it. People were still interested in this new technology, this idea of, like, there's something in this. I don't know what it is or what it can be or what the potential could even be, but I think I'm going to stick around because I feel like I got a good feeling about this whole cell phone thing. And so again, it created excitement. The demand was there even for the bad version. So he also talks about The Simpsons too, the TV show. He was saying that the first few episodes were had terrible quality. Something about the drawing was bad, the humor was corny and slapstick. It just wasn't what we know it to be now. The quality, everything was just sort of like it was a bad version of what the cartoon was going to be eventually. In the 90s and the 2000s, it was probably at peak levels, but that show started, like, I think in the 80s, I think. But again, even back then when they wrote it initially, it resonated. People liked it for whatever reason. It just connected. What they were going for connected. It's almost like their intentions, even though it wasn't perfect, their intentions almost just connected with the culture. Even though the technicalities and the mechanics of the thing wasn't really quite right, it was something about it. Again, that X factor. It was something in it, and people were still clamoring for it. Still asking, "Hey, did you see that show? Did you see that show, The Simpsons? Did you check that out? Have you? Okay, next time, turn on Monday at 7:00. Turn it on. It'll check that out. Let me know what you think." It was a word of mouth thing. People really caught on to it. And for whatever reason, like I said, it resonated with people. So that's kind of all under the predictor number one, knowing when to quit / the X factor criteria / what are the predictors of success, So predictor number two, he also said, was enthusiasm. So enthusiasm is kind of like a cousin to excitement, but he broke it down this way, so I'm just rolling with it. But what was interesting was that he said one of the best ways to detect the X factor is to watch what people do, because what people do is more honest than what they say. So people could say a lot of things when they're in front of your face just to kind of be nice or be polite, or say it. It was nice. It was like, yeah, it was cool. Yeah, it was all right. Yeah, it was yeah. Yeah, they keep it real short and yep, yep, okay, all right, that's all right, yep. It's a lot of that. But watch what they do. Do they share it? Do they share it with other people? Do they tweet it? Do they retweet it? Do they repost it? If there's no action, then it's probably something you should move on from. If nobody's responding in that way, if nobody's excited to action or excited to act, then it's probably a good sign that this isn't resonating. And the tricky part is that this could be something that you're passionate about. That's where it gets a little dicier too, because there could be something that you're like, man, I like this idea. This is a good idea. I want to stay with this thing. And that's where it gets hard, because then you have to make a decision, because if people aren't responding to it, This isn't a one-way street. If you have a product or an idea, you're going to need customers, followers, or whatever, in order for that engine to run. It's not, it's a feedback loop, it's a feedback loop. You need to have like that what's it called? The call and response effect in a way, where like the crowd is with you, It's a back and forth. Like, okay, yeah. Do this. Okay, all right. Now we like that, but take that away and say, okay, cool. Let me take that back into to the laboratory and tweak it a little bit more. Okay, what about this? Kick it back out to them. Oh, that's even better. Okay, what would be interesting? What would be even better is if you added this instead of that. And so if there's no like bouncing back, kind of like a tennis court. If there's no bouncing back and forth, if you don't have a partner to play with, what are you doing? Like, there's no, you just you're just hitting the ball against the fence. You're not getting much of a feedback. So anyway, that ends today's podcast. But I just kind of want to throw that out there. Just some ideas I had. It's a new little idea I had in terms of just breaking down some of the ideas of the books that I've read, some of the key ideas, the highlights. Things that I think could be useful to people who were stuck in their cubicles and who may have ideas, or like most people I bump to are creative people who are stuck in that 9-to-5 vortex. And so if you're sitting there, I'm trying to make this I'm trying to sort of redeem the time you got. Like, since you have to be there, at least I'm listening to something that can kind of push me forward or give me some idea that sparks the idea for the next thing, and try to redeem that time a little bit. So, but anyway, I appreciate you listening, and until next time, I will talk to y'all later.